JP, good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for joining me once again on the Couch Studio.
It's a continuing pleasure.
You're welcome. As promised, this is actually probably I think the first promise that I may have delivered to any listeners that we have out there. I was able to bring on a guest, Richard. We'll hear from him in a minute. He is the closest, I guess, to being like a real-life Ghostbuster. And despite everything I learned in my 3 years of journalism at university, I got a bit starstruck and was just a little bit like a gushing child. So
you did come across as a little desperate.
I was a bit desperate. So therefore, needing your assistance just in order to help me, dissect the interview with Richard. And
I shouldn't say desperation. You had paranormal youthful exuberance. Let me say that.
Look, so just to explain a little bit in advance, last week I did say that there will be another guest coming on, and that guest had sent me a text message basically saying that I possibly had mediumship capabilities. And after that, I felt extraordinarily special. Yeah. I guess I really wanted to understand the extent of my mediumship capabilities. And, could this be my new line of work? But yeah, I don't think Richard was necessarily convinced, although he was very kind about it. So
is this like when, after watching 2 seasons of MasterChef, you were going to go and be a commercial chef?
Yeah, there's a pattern, isn't there? I don't know what you'd call that. Welcome to Mistery, a podcast about ghosts. The podcast that seems like it spelled its own name wrong, just to make it harder for you to find. We're available on Audible, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and now on YouTube. I'm your host, Agnes Finnie. How on earth did you get into this line of work?
Well, it's a good question, and I guess, how do you get into this line of work?
I don't think I did.
I remember from a young age, like even when I was a kid growing up in a different country, that I would sort of ponder whether you could actually, whether you could try to do stuff with my mind. But that was like pondering, what can we do? Do humans have psychic abilities, I guess? But then later in life, I had some a psychic experience, again, going with that theme of trying to think about something or to try, I guess, psychokinesis. So ask for things to happen and make things happen, and I was able to do that.
Hang on, just to sort of clarify psychokinesis, just for my small brain, but I know we talked about it in the last episode. Can you just clarify psychokinesis?
I guess it's the ability of the human mind to manifest itself in the physical world, and like, could you move a pen with your mind, or channel on the TV without leaving your chair?
So hang on. So are you saying that you discovered that you had this ability?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, so I asked the universe to help me compose some music on my keyboard. This is about 20 years ago, and I did that. I didn't sort of do any rituals or anything. I just asked, "Can you assist me? Can you play on my keyboard with me? Can you help me record some music? Can you contribute?" Because I'm like an amateur musician and just had a modest Yamaha keyboard that has a recording function where you can record tracks, etc. And then after about 3 days of asking, on day 3, I was playing the accompaniment on the keyboard. And for about 58 seconds, about into the song at the perfect time, the melody starts playing by itself, coming out of the speakers of the keyboard.
So sorry, just to clarify, a melody that you'd already played and recorded?
No.
No? Oh.
Came out of nowhere.
Oh, like...
From an unknown source.
Ghost music.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if you can call it that. So it was basically like I was jamming with some other entity. So I was playing one part of the instrument, and this entity or whatever, I don't know what it was playing the melody whilst I was playing the accompaniment. And now the interesting bit about that, I continued playing even though I was sort of pretty well, I guess, freaked out at the time.
Yeah.
But I continued to play, and that took some, and then I finished the song, and I was actually recording my bit. And then I said, wow, what the hell was that all about? That's crazy, And then I looked at my keyboard, and what the entity had played had somehow found its way into another track on my keyboard, and it was recorded. So I was able to capture this melody and replay it in its entirety.
So was this melody a melody you'd ever heard before, or was it completely just out of the blue?
Yeah, so now you're going to do this is what I call the human condition will now come in.
Yeah.
And now what happens, this is a problem with human beings, and it's a bit like what you're experiencing now with your grey cloud. People will always try, the human condition is such, I believe, that we will then try and rationalize what happened, because I don't believe that genetically we're really programmed to understand when something happens that can't be explained. So you are now going to ask me probably a whole series of questions, and this is a typical question I'll get asked if a few people I've explained it to. Were you on drugs? Had you recorded the sound before? Was the melody generated by the keyboard itself? There'll be a whole heap of questions, and the answer to all of those things, and I've looked at it in great detail, to work out all the possibilities. Mm-hmm. But the answer to all those questions is no. It came completely, the way to explain it, and this is the truest explanation, is I was recording something on my keyboard. I asked the universe to jam with me, and something jammed with me on my keyboard whilst I was doing it. It was captured by myself on my keyboard through the circuitry of the keyboard.
Well, I wasn't going to ask you if you were on drugs, but I'm guessing.
I wasn't drunk. It was, just like I am now. Like I'm a normal person, family person. I have children. I have a government job. Have a university degree. I'm not
typical dude.
Very typical. A person that experienced something, but it was something that I asked to happen. And that's the interesting thing. It just didn't happen randomly. It wasn't something I asked for, something very specific, and it was delivered, and I was able to capture it. So I have captured this recording, which became it's a song, a complete song, I guess. It's an instrumental song. It has my bit, but also the captured bit.
So can we actually hear it? Is that something that's available?
Probably not.
Okay.
That would then disclose who I am.
I guess we're kind of talking about belief a little bit. How long did it take you to stop doing all of the experiments and all of the things that I've been doing on this podcast to try to explain scientifically or otherwise what this thing was and how it happened to you? How long before you believed? Well, I can
explain, if it's of interest to the listeners, because you have to approach this on a rational basis. So you have to, did I have some sort of mental condition? Did I delude myself that this was happening, and did I do it myself? And the interesting thing about when something like this happened, is there's really no way you can prove that it happened. You can, and that's the interesting thing. So it's, so the experimentation has never really stopped, and I even did some more. So if you imagine if you had an old FM AM transistor radio, right? Mm-hmm. This may be an easy way to explain it. You can play the FM station, right? And then you have to, and you can tune in and get a station, right? Then if you want to hear AM, you got to press the AM button.
Yeah. It
is not really feasible for that old transistor to play both stations simultaneously. So the hardware of the transistor radio is such that you can't play the FM radio and AM radio. So if I was playing, say, the FM radio through my speakers, at the same time the AM radio was playing a song that perfectly matched what was coming out of the FM radio, if that makes sense. Mm. But It can't happen. Like you can say, "Hi, ChatGPT, this happened to my transistor radio," say, for example. I was playing a song, and then all of a sudden, this other song was playing coming through in the AM frequency, and it matched my song perfectly. Is that possible? And I say, "No, look at this model. That's not possible. It's impossible with the hardware and for that to happen. It just can't happen. The standard one that you would buy and not modify, that's not possible." And likewise with my keyboard, it wasn't modified. It was just a standard Yamaha keyboard. So, and I also checked with Yamaha technicians. Look, he said a glitch, because I didn't tell him what happened. I said, "Look, this is what happened. What? Oh, we're not sure what happened. That shouldn't happen. It's not possible. You can't record track 1 and track 2 at the same time. You can only record one track, and then you can record another track on top of that, and then track 3, track 4, whatever." So that was ruled out too after talking to Yamaha technicians. And I said, what else could it be like? So someone intercepted my thoughts. Asking for this to happen over a period of 3 days was somehow intercepted and answered. Now, who was that? Was it an entity? Has the government got technology that can actually read thought waves, and that could actually project and infiltrate the circuitry of my keyboard? That is possible. I'm not aware of such technology. I think it's unlikely, but it can't be ruled out. It's possible that the government already has. If you're a conspiracy theorist, you may believe that is the case. I don't believe that is the case. My gut tells me it's not what happened.
What do you believe now?
It's hard because I'm such a bit like your partner in crime on the show. I'm very sort of pragmatic, scientific type person. I don't know. That's the truth. I don't know. I'm not sure if you ever read Sherlock Holmes. So Sherlock Holmes had a favourite saying that when you rule out anything that's impossible, whatever remains is probably true. So if you apply that principle to me, what is impossible? It wasn't a keyboard. That's impossible. What about alien technology? What is our alien spaceship? At the edge of hiding on the other side of the moon, that can intercept human thought. Like thought is energy, electrical currents. Not impossible, probable, maybe. Tibetan monks, etc., apparently can levitate by meditating, or another form of prayer, perhaps. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It is something that resonates. The fact that deep meditation, prayer, the mind can do stuff. When I was playing my music, I was really focusing on the meditation prayer type request. And sometimes I'd hear in the leading up to what actually happened, I'd hear like little electronic noises coming through the keyboard, but not actually sound. I said, what's that coming through the keyboard? And it was a bit sort of weird. Academic I spoke to said, well, and that was a new thing. Well, maybe you did it. Maybe you actually was able to do that yourself.
How on earth would that happen?
Well, that would be like if I had some mysterious PK powers that I'm not aware of. And he said maybe there's a part of your brain that you don't know exists. And through meditation and prayer, you activate that part of your brain, and then your thought waves can infiltrate the circuitry of the keyboard and do what happened. I think that is not impossible, but it's not impossible, but I don't think it's probable. It doesn't ring true with me, but it is another possibility that I have some mysterious PK powers that I didn't know I've activated. I didn't ask for, and I didn't know I don't believe that is a valid explanation. I'm completely unable to prove, and I've also looked at when you actually analyze the melody. It's a melody that could have been produced by someone playing it on the keyboard itself, like as a separate track too afterwards.
Right.
That could easily be done. So there's no way that I can prove that this happened. No way. I would have to replicate the experiment.
So that was 20 years ago. I'd like to kind of fast forward to now, I guess, and ask you, how would you describe the work you do now? And then also, I'm obviously absolutely gagging to hear the gentleman that was going to join us on the podcast and who told me about entities surrounding me and all kinds of mind-blowing things. He's no longer able to make it. I don't know if this is completely out of your wheelhouse, but can you see anything? What's going on? But maybe if you could start by telling me a bit about, like, how would you describe? Do you call yourself a ghostbuster, or is that? I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean that's probably a good term. I mean it's really just assist people, I guess, with other. Sometimes myself and sometimes with others. So in things out of the ordinary don't just happen to yourself or me. They happen throughout Australia, like in people's homes, everyday people, and it's very hard when you have an issue. The other day, I was talking to someone, hearing voices, like swearing, where to go, like get effed, and also waking up, seeing a face above her. When she wakes up, there'll be someone hovering above her face.
Oh my God.
So with those sort of issues, and I think you touched upon it, is where you would ask the good forces of the universe, and you can call it different things, the good ghosts, the good spooks. Some people might call it angels. I'd probably personally say the good forces of the universe, and to assist in clearing individuals. And sometimes, like for myself, when I'm assisting somebody, they will describe something, and sometimes I don't get anything, but sometimes you will have a thought or an image pop into your head, which is so clear you could paint it. It could be like a beautiful painting, like I had one individual that could see many different characters in the house, including two witches. And I had just had a really strong vision in my head of these two witches standing on the second floor on top of a window awning that projected out, overlooking the Blue Mountains. It was sort of almost twilight. It was cold. And it wasn't cold when they were there, dressed up as witches and older witches. So you get that sort of imagery in your head, and sometimes you don't get that. They won't necessarily manifest themselves in front of you, but it's just a way of accessing it. It's similar to if you do like remote viewing. I had one sort of seminar where we had to guess what something was, and it was just and I had this image in my head of bombs falling, and then I was drawing some stuff as well, and because the remote viewer said this is an object, what am I thinking of? And I had an image of bombs falling, and then I had a little circle with it looked like an E inside of it. And I didn't know what it was. But then afterwards, and that image came into my head, and it was about 3 or 4 or 5 seconds. Uh-huh. Then at the end of I explained what I'd seen, and this person said, well, actually it was something that was used during World War II. It was a decoding machine that they were used to decode the codes that the Nazis were using to communicate. And the bombs, obviously, there was a lot of bombs. I could see things being bombed. But the little circle when I looked up an image, one of the things came up was a keyboard, which was like an old-fashioned keyboard, where you have like a circle with all the letters inside it. And there was a single, I guess, letter. So these images will come into your head. But I think in terms of yourself, you ask a lot of questions here. But the ghost busting, for want of a better word, they can either be gimmicky or, for myself and others that I work with, it's a more organic process where we not rely on gimmicks or rituals or religion. We're just really connecting with the individual and using our own minds and asking for help. A bit like what I did all those years ago, asking for help from the good forces of the universe to escort any. And look, I think there's a lot of lore and movies about, and even religious about, souls that are sort of trapped on, they haven't got to heaven, they haven't got to hell, they're sort of in the middle, like they're still floating around, causing a nuisance to themselves. So I think there's always a little bit of element of truth to all this stuff, what the sci-fi writers, how long ago, all the stuff that the sci-fi writers wrote about, we've sort of surpassed that now, it's really just using your minds to tap into it. So yourself, for example, I think all of us have the ability to open up our minds, but it's whether you want to not and whether you want to believe.
So are we talking about the paper I was talking to Pete about in the podcast last week, it was something that had been written by Lance Storm, and Rob Tilley, and Rob is very clear that in order for people to be haunted, they also have to be psychic, and we were trying to understand what it means to be psychic. But I'm just applying that little bit of knowledge to what you're explaining, and it sounds to me like you are psychic, and that's the sort of realm that you're dealing in to be able to clear these houses. Is that how you would describe that?
I think it's a matter of I think anyone can be psychic. I think it's within their ability, and I think we all have a bit of that. Like, you wish for a parking spot and all of a sudden it's there. Or you want the lights to go green, you have green lights all the way. Everyone has a little thing, I lost this crazy thing. Or once I saw this and that. So I think we all get bits of it, but it's not something really we explore with our minds. So I think we all are. So I don't think I'm particularly more gifted than anyone else, but I think I'm one that has seen stuff and who has an open enough mind to say, okay, well, there's more to the world than we understand at the moment. What is psychic? Is it just something we don't know about yet? Is thoughts, electrical energy projected in a certain way? There's lots of stuff. There's lots. Obviously, it is. Now, I'm not an academic in either in medicine or science or human biology, so I have no idea what I'm talking about. But in that regard, it is possible, perhaps, that thoughts can be intercepted, and then we think that it emits beyond our personal self. So like with yourself, if someone says to you, I think, you're psychic and, people, there's entities that want to talk to you, that may be true. If we're surrounded by good and evil forces, in my belief, or neutral forces, or spirits, whatever you may call it, there's more to the world than meets the eye. We're surrounded by things we can't see or smell or touch. A bit like telecommunication signals 100 years ago. Like, we're surrounded by that. If we were surrounded by other manifestations, like some that may be intellectual, why perhaps you can open up your mind enough to communicate or listen if you tune your brain in the right way and you open up that part of your brain to that. Now, some people are probably better than that than others, and some of my colleagues are better than others, perhaps at that. And other people can maybe, like myself, I'm good at asking for stuff to happen. I can communicate. There's that famous belief, can move mountains. I think we can, but it's a way that you ask something, and to actually ask for something in a way that has no doubt behind it, or belief, or the religious people will call it faith. It's a very hard thing in the purest sense to achieve. It's almost impossible, and I think that's the secret, perhaps.
Well, I know we're fast running out of time, but I wondered if I could ask you a couple of things before you go, if it's possible. Sure. Are you able to... I can't sleep very well at the moment because of what I was told around these entities. Can you take a look for me? Is it possible for you to take a look for me? And also then can you tell me better how to ask?
Now put it this way, right? This is, I'm getting some goosebumps. So what I was saying is usually correct when I say that means I'm onto something. I told this to somebody and it helped them a lot. Imagine like a human being is like a transistor radio. Mm-hmm. We can turn that transistor radio on and we can tune into things, right?
Yeah.
Just imagine too that these entities, they're all around you, they're around me too now. They're everywhere already.
Like right now, you're saying that
I'm everywhere, not just you, everywhere. They're floating around like in free space.
Okay.
They're just lying around, like, they're going into houses, in the houses, up in the sky, going here, going there. They can be anywhere. They're not ruled by, for you to think, so you can say, okay, I might have, they're there anyway. Okay. They're not just there for me. They don't just exist for me. Right? So think of it that way. So you that way, but then also when you go to say, I have this ability because I'm interested, and they become aware of it. So they might say, okay, well, Agnes, she might want to talk to us. You might say, okay, well, I am sort of interested in this sort of stuff, but I really don't want you guys talking to me when I go to sleep at night. So what you can then do is you turn off I said just to one of the people who I help, I said, just imagine, just turn off your transistor radio, learn how to say no. Turn the transistor radio, switch the old on-off button, twist it to the left, hear the click in your mind, the radio's off. But they might still be pestering other people, or people want to listen to them. And I can ask the good force of the universe and, hey, Agnes, Agnes doesn't want to.
I kind of do.
Get bothered by anything. And I'm just looking now at you. I don't see anything really, anyone specific wanting to talk to you or make contact with you. I think it's more just like a general interest, perhaps, that other realm that we don't really know about, you know?
Sorry, my cat really wants to talk to me now. He's trying to bash down the door. He always wants to get a spot on the podcast.
Cats are very perceptive. Cats are perceptive. They can pick up stuff too. I mean, everyone has a story about the cat or the dog seeing something in the corner of the room. But just remember, they're not just there for you. They're already there. Like, it's not like, oh no, this entity just manifested itself out of nothing just for me. It's not like that.
Oh, I feel a bit disappointed now because I thought it made me feel a bit special. And then I thought maybe I'm having a midlife crisis.
It could be, but no, you are special in that you have, in your case, because they know that you have an open mind. So they would be making some visits to your place and they could be floating around you. And I feel that there's just they have a sense for these things. I believe they're like sharks. They can sense stuff far away. So
how do I ask them? I just go forth with like belief that.
Well, what do you want to ask them, Agnes? Why? You're saying that you're freaked out and you can't sleep at night. So either you send out the invitation or you don't. What is it?
I don't know. Maybe it was just that old like Hallmark movie thing of like I'd like a sign that you're there or something.
Well, that's all right. Don't dismiss all of that. And do you want that? Do you really want that?
Well, yeah, but only if it's like a good one. I don't want any bad ones.
So you can ask. You've got to be specific. Communication is super important.
Even with spirits, you've got to be really specific. It's not like just bad employees.
Yes.
All right.
They're intelligent. It's intelligence. You're dealing with intelligence. Don't give some. Just be very. I was very specific what I wanted with the music.
Okay.
Be specific. If you want something specific that's personal to you, like it could be a lost relation, someone in your family that has been lost sadly, and you want to say, look, I really want a good sign. Like, don't ask for just some random stuff, but you got to be specific. Otherwise, you don't know. And that's the problem with people that don't know what they're doing. They ask for stuff that's so they're just letting anything in.
Do I have to meditate or anything, or is it just like?
Yeah, you should do. You should ask in a genuine way.
Okay.
That is genuine and heartfelt. Comes from the bottom of your core, your soul, whatever you believe in. It can't just be some, let's just, like some teen flick where you're just asking for stuff. You got to be heartfelt. And just be careful. Ask the good forces to give me a sign. You can ask for anything. Okay. I believe you can ask for anything.
So, yeah, you had to listen to it, and I know laughed at certain bits at me, really, I think, which is fair enough. Yeah.
Just your exuberance.
I think I'm just feeling a bit flat. Anyway, tell me your thoughts.
Well, expectation management's always an important thing, and when you've got told that you've got psychic abilities and then you get told that you've got none, then it's a bit of a feast and famine.
Yeah, I am actually worried, am I having a midlife crisis? Is this my...
Well, I think that's a broader issue that maybe...
Yeah, no one can really answer.
Yeah, that I don't think interviewee can really do the work for you on.
Yeah.
If that is the case.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that he referred to how mist as a grey cloud.
I know. It was like a cloud of depression. Which, is not entirely...
Stop it. So there's this ongoing thing around, is it a requirement? Is it a prerequisite to be have some, psychic tools in your tool belt to be able to have access to this? And he does talk about it, using his transistor radio analogy as well.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. I've got no comment on this, but I've got I found that interesting, and I think that that's almost like an ongoing idea of what you and I are grappling with this thing. It's a continuing thing. For sure.
I mean, I can answer that by relating it back to last week's episode 1, where, do you remember that paper I was telling you about, penned by Rob Tilley, who is I guess he's also a Ghostbuster, if you like.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but his theory is that only psychic people are the ones who are the subject of hauntings and poltergeist activity. I'm not clear whether that means that you have to be psychic in order to have psychokinesis, but I would think that would be like a no-brainer, I assume, because remember how we were talking about the different elements of parapsychology, and PK or psychokinesis was one of them. So I assume you have to have psychic abilities in order to be...
Yeah, but even he doesn't know what the keyboard incident is. You know, is his PK ability actively interacting with the organ to do something, or is he just got a latent ability, open access to have an exchange between something and that other something has done it, right? So even he doesn't really know.
Yeah, he says he doesn't know, and he's also quite pragmatic. I feel like he's quite skeptical in a way.
Yeah. No, he didn't. He doesn't sound like a zealot around it.
No,
I found that interesting. He also touched on this ongoing characterization of this issue around the push and pull of someone's had an experience, you've had an experience, a person, you know, how do I place it or fit it into this logic, science, pragmatism? How can I measure it, quantify it? How can I, you know, there's almost a process whereby if I think I can do that, it will be more legitimate or be interpreted or perceived as more legitimate an experience by everyone else, because it's almost like science is the common denominator kind of thing. If we can try and pile our experience, our paranormal experience into the vessel of science in some way, it will make it more accessible for everyone else.
Sure, but isn't that the very challenge that we've been talking about?
Oh, that is the challenge. And all I'm saying is he's touched on it as well, you know, and I think he's obviously gone through it because he said this thing happened like 2 decades ago.
Yes.
He's obviously gone through it so much that he's kind of like scientificized it, so, you know, to the nth degree so much that he's kind of just got to get to the point where he just accepts that that's what his experience was. And maybe there are other explanations for it other than what science can offer.
Yeah, which is, I think, something that I absolutely believe. I just don't know what those things are. Yeah,
I think the danger for any of us who's had something or had an experience or whatever is to jump all the way automatically to, oh my
totally.
God, it was a ghost, rather than take some sort of, and I won't say logical or pragmatic because that then puts it into the bucket of science, but maybe some measured or legitimate or small steps or I don't know.
I did note that though that in that previous sentence you said those of us who've had those experiences. Were you using us in a kind of rhetorical way, or are you now including yourself as an us that have had these experiences, given your precognition abilities?
Okay.
Precog Pete.
You finished?
Yeah, for now.
I'm referring to our experience with the mist.
What about your experience with the dream?
No. Let's just keep it. The mist kicked this off. Let's keep it to the mist. There was an experience that you and I shared. We kind of both know what we saw, but we don't know what we saw.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'll continue down my list.
Thank you.
He did mention a red flag word for me, and that was manifesting.
Oh.
I know I've just previously used it in one of my explanations, but this kind of, I just have it, because there's that whole kind of like The Secret kind of thing from years ago where it's like if you put it out there and you manifest that you want a Ferrari, then you will get a Ferrari kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think he was wearing yoga pants when he said
no, I don't,
kind of like greeting the dawn.
Sure.
But yeah, okay. Well, I can't remember what the context was when he said manifesting.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly.
Noted.
This next thing shows my cards or my interest areas a little bit.
Ooh, are you ready? Are listeners ready for this?
Oh God, it's not.
Is this another revelation? Is this another pink
bombshell?
No.
Okay. It's pretty run of the mill. Okay, so he's mentioned a couple of times with the transistor radio kind of thing, being able to, the AM, FM, I kind of got that. I thought that was very good, and can you play 2 bandwidths at the same time or frequencies and whatever, and this kind of, but it all goes to the fact of do we currently as humans have the right hardware, software to be able to receive whatever messages are being put out there, or are, as he said at the end, which I think kind of freaked you out, that are everywhere around us at all time, not just for you, but for everyone, you know.
It didn't freak me out. That upset me because I was like, they're just for me.
No, yeah, you wanted, no, they're not just for you. So, so that there are these, you know, these things out there signaling all the time. Do we have, even just at a base level, but do we have then the tools, strategies, techniques to be able to either interact, and to what end, you know? And I'm not going to I'm not going to go down any sort of mediumship kind of thing. But I find that that's an interesting question to ask. And it's also, that question is always asked in the UFO community as well. As a subset of a heap of other subsets. There's this idea that the human race has been advanced, not just by natural selection on this planet, but by an outside entity that has advanced us. Okay? That advancement came with certain skill sets.
Yeah.
Okay? Right? Go with me. Hey, I've gone with you on a lot of things.
I know.
You go with me, right?
I'm just closing my eyes because I'm like, I just try to take it in. Yeah.
But there's movies about this as well, right? Prometheus, I think, is one of them, and whatever, right?
Yeah,
okay.
But they're movies, dude.
Human evolution's been tampered with. We've been given a certain set of skills, right? And over the course of us evolving, some of those skills have become latent. And one of those skills is psychic ability. Yeah.
And I mean, Richard did mention, the possibility, or I think he sort of said not the impossibility of there being kind of some sort of alien interference.
Oh, messing with the
Yamaha.
With the Yamaha thing, yeah.
Why does that have to necessarily involve any alien?
Well, it doesn't.
thing?
It doesn't.
Why
All I'm
can't
saying,
it
no. All I'm saying to you is that the idea of a latent psychic ability does come up in stuff that I listen to, and it's over here, in this thing. I'm not saying that I'm a believer in it, and that's what I think it is. There are crossovers in some of these things.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I also mentioned like remote viewing in there as well, which is another personal favourite of mine.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
That stuff, like military have invested money in that to try and work out whether it can be used as a tool.
So who would be, what? Have they?
Oh, shit, yeah.
So, sorry, how?
There's a movie about it with George Clooney called something like Talking with Goats or something like that. Right?
Richard actually did talk to me about that separately. Yeah.
Right. So there's that movie.
Men Hysteric Goats.
Men Hysteric Goats, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That, I can't remember the guy's name. He was like Remote Viewer 1. I've listened to a few of his books and podcasts and stuff like that, right? He'd have to be in a certain room. He'd only get a small sample of something or other, and then he would be able to work out the building and the room within the building, behind what door, what was in the box, and blah, 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 and he'd be able to tell, and this thing's like a country away kind of thing. I'm explaining it really badly, right? But it's a thing, and the military have pumped money into it to work out, because I think at some stage they worked out the Soviets were doing it. This is all Cold War sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, so what of it since then though? Like, is it just like,
I think they worked out whether the Soviets were trying it on, so they wanted to do it. They had some success with it, but I think it officially got defunded. But everyone thinks that it's could have gone into one of those kind of black project kind of things where, the Pentagon spent $5,000 on a spanner. They will never officially admit that it's still going on, but maybe it is being used. Maybe they've honed it. Whatever it is, right? So the remote viewing is interesting as well.
Yeah, I want to know more about that too.
I just like to know more of his kind of like where he's got to with his macro viewpoint of everything. In the same way that he's got with his synthesizer, he's just got to the point where he's tried to stop, kind of like go through the process flow chart of all of the possibilities. He's kind of just gone, well, it is this thing. It is what it is. I have to accept it. maybe it's these things. How does this fit into my worldview now? Well, it fits into kind of it this way. I'd like to know more of his overarching kind of thing.
Well, Richard, if you're listening, I think we'd like to ask you back. I mean, I think in a certain way, like, he answered that for me when he's talking about, you know, how he assists others, and he does it in this sort of organic way. I think, and what you were saying before is true, I reckon. It's sort of like, I don't really know where this ability comes from. Clearly, I have some ability to be able to connect with whatever these entities are and help people and make them feel like they're no longer being harassed by whatever is going on for them. So I think it seems like he accepts that. But yeah, I don't understand necessarily how that fits into a broader framework of a philosophy of parapsychology or anything.
Yeah. Is that enough of a wrap for you?
Yeah, it was certainly, interesting Friday night.
I think as a personal note, I think you need to maybe emotionally detach a little bit.
Have I been able to do that so far in the last 8 episodes? It was interesting when I was listening back to the interview with Richard. He pretty much said what Agnes Watton and Ashley Saltner said to me about trying to reconnect with the mist, which was, you know, you got to chill out and kind of feel it with your gut or feel it with your heart. So I think there was a sort of level of like, it's not, you can't intellectualize it. You've got to kind of feel your way into this. And I kind of think that that's what Richard was saying too. I feel like you're maybe turning a corner on this whole thing.
We finished?
Yeah. Still a bit down. If anyone out there has any interesting ideas, I'm really looking for a site in our local area or even within Greater Brisbane to investigate. It doesn't need to be at night, apparently. It can be during the day. Apparently spirits are all around us in everything we do.
You need to tie this off.
Yeah, okay. Tying off. Thanks, Pete.
No problem.